today we're doing an FPL preview for game week number 30. That's right, the Premier League is back. We've missed you after the international break, but it's time for some more FPL mischief, and let's see if we can get the points in this big week. Now, of course, last week was the blank game week. We got ourselves a very solid 64, but let's see what we can get this time. The deadline, 11 o'clock today, and by the time you are watching this, it would have, of course, closed, but make sure you smash the like on the video, comment down your thoughts on my team, and let's get into the video. So to start off with, who do we have in between the sticks? That person is Edouard Mendy. What a baller. Now, he gets clean sheets every week for Chelsea. Chelsea are looking like the best defence in the league, and it's a fixture against West Brom. You really can't ask for much more than that. I'm really hoping that that clean sheet does come, and it's a tough decision this week, I've got to admit, choosing between Martinez and Mendy, but I just feel Aston Villa might not get as easy of a clean sheet in that Fulham game, because Fulham recently have improved, and ultimately, yes, you could argue Martinez picks up more bonus points than Mendy, but I just feel that West Brom game is a nailed-on clean sheet, so I'm going for it, and let's hope that that gets us points. I think with Fulham, they could maybe frustrate Villa, and it could be a slightly surprising result, whereas West Brom, we know they're going forward really bare at the minute, and they're struggling for confidence, so hopefully Mendy gets us the 6-pointer and more with some nice bonus saves. Right, let's move on to our defence. And first in our defence is Stuart Dallas. What a legend. Duke Dallas, as we like to call him. The player who gets goals, gets attacking returns, and sometimes gets assists as well. And there's no better chance for Sheffield United than really to play them and to get a clean sheet. Because yes, Leeds defensively have been a bit up and down, but come on, Sheffield United are so poor going forward. You'd think this is a guaranteed clean sheet for Meslier and for those Leeds defenders. So it's a perfect week to own Stuart Dallas. I do have to realise that their fixtures turn, I do admit that, but we might as well make the most out of these Leeds assets for that juicy fixture, and let's hope that Stuart Dallas does a few more wonderful points. Now we've got Aaron Cresswell. Another good player this season. He's been whipping in assists and crosses like there's no tomorrow, and he's just been fantastic for my team. I've got him in for so long in this season, and I just haven't looked back. There's been no point where I've said, yep, I tell you what, I'm going to sell him, because he's just been so consistent. And we got him all the way back in game week 9 with that game away to Sheffield United, and he got a bonus point in that game, I'm pretty sure, and he just gets so many attacking returns. Wolves away isn't the best of games, but also it's not the worst of games. So, yeah, you fancy Cresswell in this game, I think. And especially Wolves, we know they can concede a lot of set-piece goals, and that'll be perfect for the set-piece delivery of Aaron Cresswell. So, high hopes for Cresswell. Clean sheet, well, we've talked a lot about, we've heard a lot about Pedro Neto, and people bring in some Wolves assets because those fixtures are looking very juicy indeed. But I feel like Cresswell, even if he doesn't keep a clean sheet, then he can just get that attack and return, and it can be still a great week for him. He does like to mop up those bonus points. So, yeah, second defender is Aaron Cresswell. Come on, son. And finally, our third defender, Ruben Diaz. Now, it's a tough one this week. My team is basically too good. Like, I've got such strength and depth. But I thought, tell you what, Ruben Diaz, let's play you, because even a game against Leicester, you might say, oh, that's a really tough fixture. But for Manchester City, is any fixture a tough fixture? And obviously there's the problem of Pep Roulette. It's just a joke at this point. But if there's one defender out of the back four that's probably the least prone to rotation, it is Ruben Diaz. And Leicester away, Leicester will go for this game. But ultimately, if there is a clean sheet there, then at least I'll get it through Ruben Diaz and maybe an attacking return, because as with Wolves, Leicester City are very susceptible from set pieces. So let's see a nice little header from the Portuguese here to get us some points. But ultimately, I had to play one of my Man City defenders, and I think Diaz is the one probably safer out of the two. Now we move on to our 5-star midfield, and it is consisting of Ilkay, Gundogan. Now this was basically my dilemma of the week. Do I bench Ilkay Gundogan or do I play him? I mean, he'll probably be absolutely just flabbergasted how Germany managed to lose to North Macedonia. But the main thing is, Gundogan played all 3 games for Germany in the international break, and that is a worrying thing when you know that you're managed by Pep Guardiola. Chances are he will have a nice little shuffle again of the players, and that's a bit scary. But with Gundogan, you'd imagine if he is rested, it would be a full rest. So either he plays the game, and he's got a very good chance of scoring, he's a very good goal threat, and that's why he's really stepped up in the absence of Kevin De Bruyne. And De Bruyne's come back, he's been alright, but he's still not the player he used to be, and Gundogan is certainly not, going away quietly. He's still got a goal threat that can cause problems. But we don't know if Gundogan's going to play. Now, if he doesn't play, you'd imagine he wouldn't play, the last 10 minutes. He'd probably not play at all. So that's fine, because we've got very good players on our bench that can just come in if need be. So Ilkay Gundogan, I feel like the risk of not playing him and then he plays and scores loads of points would really feel quite bad. And yes, it is Leicester City, not the best fixture, but it's Manchester City. They can score against anyone, and we just hope that Gundogan does it again. So let's see if he plays. If not, we've got someone to come in that I'll talk about in a sec, and we're just going to go for that one. So yeah, we move on next to Jesse Lingard. Before we do talk about Jesse, though, I do need to just plug in my device because we don't want that to run out of battery. Sorry, I know this is a bit of a diversion in the filming of the FPL team, but just bear with me, people, whilst I sort this out. It's a very urgent issue. Right. Okay, we're good to go, I think. Yeah, that's fine. We might just have to adjust our positioning of things, but it will all work out in the end. Right, let's go back to what we were talking about, and that, of course, is Jesse Lingard. So this guy is a bit of a legend at this point. He's just been absolutely fantastic form. You just can't deny it, and he's actually been doing very well on international duty for England. Some really good performances he put in, a few assists in there, so I just don't have any lack of faith in Jesse Lingard. His form has been fantastic, and he just keeps on going, and people can say he's been a bit lucky with some of his finishes. Well, yeah, but he makes that luck. He earns that luck, because some of the goals he scored, yeah, I understand they're worldies and they won't necessarily be repeatable, but Lingard finds a way, whether it's a scrappy goal or a goal of the highest order, he can still find a way to get the ball into the back of the net. So I feel like this consistency just cannot be ignored, and Wolves away, again, it's not the best fixture, but it's still a very good fixture if you had to choose from a group of games. And Wolves this season have certainly not been as good as usual, so there's something to attack there, and we'll see if Rui Patricio is back in time. If not, that is a really, really interesting prospect for Jesse Lingard to be up against. So chances of a goal, maybe. Then we've got the next player, and we're just trying to focus this, but it's not quite working for us at the minute, so just bear with us, people. And what does that you say? Oh yes, that's right, people. We've gone the whole way. It is Rafinha as captain, and you're thinking, what? Are you actually out of your mind? But no, trust me guys, I'm not, because Rafinha has been superb this season. And who did he face this week? Sheffield United. Basically relegated at this point, Sheffield United. Without a manager, they concede goals like there's no tomorrow, and Leeds are one of the most attacking teams in the Premier League. So it just seems perfect. And Rafinha is a midfielder, so he'll get extra points for clean sheets and extra points for goals. It is literally written in the stars, this one, because a lot of people have chosen a different captain this week, and I thought, let's be different. Let's shake it up a little bit and switch it up. So Rafinha is the man. I hope this doesn't, fall down, and it is one of those ones, I feel like he's so attacking, and sometimes he doesn't get the FPL points he deserves. But let's just hope this week he can really show that end product as well as the build-up and the skills and all that lovely footwork that he does show when he's on the ball. So, yeah, we're going to go for it. Rafinha as captain. Come on. And then next to him, you'll see, oh, who is this young fellow, this new player? It's Bruno Fernandes. That was our transfer this week. Bruno Fernandes. So let's just have a little look into our transfer history. And there you have it, people. 2nd of April, 1439. Fernandes in for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. The reason for that, Arsenal, I'm not 100% faithful in their attack right now. And yes, they have good fixtures, and yes, they have no blanks. But Manchester United are a stronger team going forward. They have a better fixture this week, Brighton, and Aubameyang faces Liverpool. And have you seen Aubameyang's hair? Like, that is just a reason to transfer him out on its own. No, but on a serious note, like, Fernandes is just like a player I sold in the lead up to the blank game week to try and see some players and, you know, get some players that were actually playing in blank game week 29. And that player was Aubameyang that I went for. Aubameyang has just not been that interesting. And I get that he's a big name player, but he's just not calculated into points so far for me. So he'll probably go and score against Liverpool now, knowing my luck, as FPL always works out. But ultimately, I think Aubameyang just isn't providing that end product. Fernandes, though, he just gets so many points. He's Mr. Consistent, and he can literally be not in a game at all, and then right at the end get a penalty. And I guess you could say the same thing for Aubameyang, but at the minute, Aubameyang's not been starting all the games, and Lacazette's actually been taking the penalties. So I'm just feeling the faith with Fernandes, and he looks like a player that you just need to own. And I've jumped back onto the Bruno bandwagon for this week. So that is my transfer, and my only transfer for game week 30. So we're not taking any hits, my people. So let's keep on moving forward, and let's move on to our attack, our front three. But the team is looking pretty juicy right now. So you're wondering probably, who is my vice captain going to be? Well, let's get straight to that then, shall we? The vice captain for me this week is going to be Harry Kane. I know people are going to say, what? But why aren't you captaining him? But everyone is captaining him, I feel like. It feels so boring. And I know you're saying, oh yeah, well, boring points can sometimes mean just points in the first place. And I understand you, but come on. Like, I captained Kane last week. Let's change it up. Newcastle, I'll admit, is an awful fixture. When I say awful for Newcastle, great for Tottenham. But ultimately, am I completely set on Kane again when I could go with a Rafinha who could get even more points against Sheffield United? I don't know. It's a bit of a risk, I'll admit, but it's a risk that I'm willing to take. And if it doesn't work, so be it. But I feel like Rafinha he's worth like a really big haul. And at home, Leeds do struggle to get as many goals as away from home. I don't know if that's something to do with like the pitch or anything, but ultimately, I'm just feeling Leeds this week. I don't know what it is, and Rafinha just tickles my fancy. But in terms of Harry Kane, he could equally get a hat trick, and Rafinha is always going to be an attacking player. But Kane, we know he's an FPL legend of every season. He does get points. And Newcastle have been defensively really poor, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm going with Kane, though, as the vice-captain. And then we go with Patrick Bamford. And once again, like with Rafinha, that is a fantastic fixture for Patrick Bamford. Now, the question on our lips is, will it be hat-trick Bamford? And that's why I was thinking maybe I captain Patrick, but I don't know. I'm just not quite as confident about Bamford than I am Rafinha. Maybe it's because he just has recovered from a little knock, or maybe because Bamford just wastes a lot of chances, and maybe Rafinha deserves to convert more of them. When you look at Rafinha, he sets up players and he scores goals. So maybe if there's a bit more luck on Rafinha's side, he gets more assists, he gets more goals. Whereas Bamford is always going to be the one shooting at the goal, and sometimes it's his responsibility and he just doesn't quite take those chances. So I'm just not quite sure. But Bamford's still a great player to own this week. He scored in the reverse fixture, last-minute header, and he could easily score again here, but let's see what happens with Patrick Bamford. Again, a great fixture against Sheffield United, and this is what's made ultimately this selection really tough this week, because there's so many players that can be captain, and also so many players that could play because they have great fixtures. But that's what I've gone with as my second striker, Patrick Bamford. And the final striker, as you can see there, is Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And at one point, we even thought about captaining him. It's just been one of those weeks. Captaincy is so open for debate. And I could even captain Jesse Lingard because he's been in incredible form, but I'm not going to count on it. But Calvert-Lewin, he scored in the reverse fixture as well, but his form has not been amazing recently. He's only got one goal in his last 10 games or something crazy, and that was a game against Burnley. So I'm thinking right now Palace defence is a one to target, but I'm still not so confident that Everton will click in attack. Rodriguez has only just about got back from injury, and he should be alright for this game, which helps Calvert-Lewin's, opportunities, because he loves to whip in balls for him. And equally, you'd like to see Rodriguez whipping in balls for the defenders like Michael Keane and Digne whipping it in for Calvert-Lewin. And this is all great for DCL, but, I'm just not quite sure DCL has completely convinced us of his form right now for him to captain. But it's still a great fixture, and Calvert-Lewin can score on his day. He's a very good and lethal striker like he showed in the international break. So I'm going to go for Calvert-Lewin playing, but captaincy, that's just a little bit too far for me. Right, now let's talk about my bench, and it's Martinez first on the bench. And I mentioned how it's a really tough decision between him and Mendy this week, and Fulham, they have improved, but I don't know, it's really difficult. I think these are the best two goalkeepers right now, and it's great to have that kind of option to choose the right goalie depending on the fixture, but it's always going to be inevitable that some weeks you choose the wrong goalie and they get 5 more points than the player that's playing, and the player on the bench you kind of regret you didn't play him. But I'm just going to go for this one. I feel like West Brom might be a more guaranteed clean sheet than Fulham. Fulham is still a great defence to target because they don't do very well defensively, and that's going to help Aston Villa's forwards, but also they can't score too many goals. Mitrovic did, of course, score his record-breaking goal for Serbia in the break, but I just don't feel like that Fulham team. Josh Maja, is it really going to be a massive threat for Martinez? Maybe not, but let's hope for a 1-0 Fulham win or something like that, because we're benching Martinez because of Mendy's great fixture, and also we're benching Matt's target. Now, it all depends, of course, on Ilkay Gundogan, and basically, if Gundogan plays, then we really want a Fulham 1-0 win. But if he doesn't play, we need that clean sheet, and it's kind of a shame to miss out on the Martinez clean sheet, but we've got to hope that Mendy does get more save points than Martinez. But equally, if Gundogan doesn't play, then Target can come in and get those clean sheet points for us. So he's a great player to come off the bench if Gundogan misses out, and if any other player misses out for a random reason. But right now, am I completely confident in Target? Well, the chances are a midfielder like Gundogan, if he plays, will score more points than Target. So yeah, we're going to go for that. If you're backing a defender to keep a clean sheet, like Ruben Diaz, then go with it. And if you're not backing Aston Villa to keep a clean sheet this week, then don't, try and hedge your bets. Try and go with it full throttle. And that's why Martinez and Target are on my bench. Then second, we've got John Stones. And you could argue that, you should always back the attacker. And the best attacker out of those two is obviously my third player. But ultimately, Stones can get clean sheets each week. It's just a matter of does he play and does he, get the minutes to get those goals we know he can do. But ultimately, I think that Leicester could still be a clean sheet for Man City. So if Stones wants to come in for, playing and other players in my team don't play, then it's fine because he's second on my bench. Is not going to be, hopefully, one to miss out on. And we've got Ruben Diaz. If Stones doesn't play, that's perfect. But even if he does, it's only 6 points we're missing out on. So let's hope that's all it will be that we miss out on. But third on my bench is Leandro Trossard. And, fair play. He's been in fantastic form. That was a great shout from me last week to bring him in. Lovely goal against Newcastle. And he, of course, scored more goals in the international break for Belgium. So he's a very good player. And that's why I'm keeping hold of him right now. Let's just wait this week and see what happens. If he scores, a hat-trick or does something fairly noticeable against Manchester United, then we maybe keep him through these tough fixtures. But right now, I'm just not feeling it. Against Manchester United, I think Bruno will probably outshine him. But if Trossard does score, then, we take it on the chin and we play him next week against whoever he's playing. I think it might be Everton. So, yeah, Trossard is going to be third on our bench, but I feel like the chances of Stones getting a clean sheet is probably higher than the chances of Trossard scoring against that very good Manchester United defence. So that is our team locked in for game week number 30. I hope you have enjoyed this FPL preview. Obviously, it's been an interesting one, and we're going to try and get some big points this week. Captain Rafinha, Vice-Captain Harry Kane, and just to finish off, we're on our overall points of 1,800, rank 311,716, and as I mentioned, 64 points last week. So we need that green arrow once again, and it's a big week. Game week 30, let's get amongst it.